Well, we are 4 movies into the series, but basically 6 movies if you're someone like me who counts Alien vs. Predator. And we now have a new Predator film after so long. But where does it stand? Is it good? Is it great? Is it mediocre? Is it a guilty pleasure? Or is it the movie that everyone has been criticizing it that it is? Let's get into that, shall we?
Lose yourself in the music the moment you own it. You better never let it go. You only get one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow. This opportunity comes once in a lifetime. You better lose yourself in the music the moment you own it. You better.
Hello, everyone. My fellow future filmmaker followers, my nerds and geeks, boys and girls all around the world. My name is Joshua, aka Future Filmmaker 3940 here once again, and I'm here to talk about another one of my most anticipated movies of the year. And of course, is part of a franchise that has been going on since the late 80s. And for some people, this may be the 6th movie. For people who don't count the 2 spin-offs, this is for them the 4th movie. But I count this as the 6th movie. So I'm here to talk about the newest film in the Predator franchise, Shane Black's The Predator. This is, of course, the 6th movie in the franchise. It stars Boyd Holbrook, Trevante Rhodes, Jacob Tremblay, Olivia Munn, Keegan Michael-Key, Alfie Allen, Thomas Jane, Sterling K. Brown, and it is co-written and directed by Shane Black and based on characters created by Jim and John Thomas. So, the plot of the new Predator movie is that in this movie, we see that the Predators, they come home from the outer reaches of space into the small town streets of suburbia. And basically, the universe's most lethal hunters are stronger, smarter, and deadlier than ever before. And they have genetically upgraded themselves with DNA from other species. So basically, when this little boy accidentally triggers the return to Earth, only a ragtag crew of ex-soldiers and a disgruntled science teacher can prevent the end of the human race and stop the Predator. Basically, this team consists of these guys and the science teacher. Of course, these newer characters, of course, you have Quinn McKenna, Nebraska Williams, Roy McKenna, Casey Brackett, Will Traeger, Coyle, Baxley, Lynch, Nettles, and Emily McKenna, and Sean Keyes. And so they have to work together and stop the Predator from wreaking havoc, pretty much. Now, going into this movie, like I said, this was one of my most anticipated movies of the year, and I was excited for it, but I was also a little worried for it. But then when I heard Shane Black was doing the movie, writing and directing, I was on board, but I was still a little worried about it. I do like Shane Black's films. I do like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. Iron Man 3 is pretty underrated, and The Nice Guys was actually a pretty entertaining movie for the most part. And Shane Black, he is one of the actors from the original film, and I was curious to see how he would do his version of Predator in his own film. And my history with the Predator series, my very first Predator experience was Alien vs. Predator. And that was also my very first experience with the Alien franchise. So I went backwards with both of the franchises. I watched the first crossover first, then I went back and watched the older films, then the other crossover, and then the new stuff. Pretty much. And I have been reviewed the other movies on my channel. I really love the first Predator. I think it's a classic film. Arnold Schwarzenegger is awesome. It's just a badass film. Some cool one-liners and a cool premise and great direction from John McTiernan. When it comes to Predator 2, yeah, you know how I feel about Predator 2. I despise that movie with every single fiber in my being, and I hate it with a burning passion. When it comes to Alien versus Predator, the two movies, they're not the best movies in the world, but they're guilty pleasures. But the first Alien versus Predator, that was my very first Alien and Predator movie, and I remember loving the movie as a kid. And I still like the movie as a guilty pleasure. It's a fun crossover, but there are problems with the film. And I have did a review of both films. Now, Alien vs. Predator Requiem, on the other hand, has a lot of things wrong with it, especially when it comes to the lighting, to the characterization of the characters, when it comes to the writing, when it comes to dialogue. But it still has some fun action, and and they did go with the R rating. And when it comes to Predators, which was presented by Robert Rodriguez, I'm one of the people who actually thinks that movie is underrated, and I actually think it is better than Predator 2, and it is the true sequel to Predator, and is my personal favorite in the entire franchise. So I have a pretty good experience with Predator series. So when it came to a new Predator film, I watched it, and a lot of people were being mixed to positive or negative about it. So I decided to just don't listen to the critics. Judge this movie for yourself and be optimistic. And what did I think? This is actually not that bad. I don't get all the hate that's going around towards the movie. I do get some of it, but not all of it. And I will get to some of my criticisms and my negatives. But I, for one, thought this was a pretty fun, serviceable, enjoyable film in the Predator series. I thought Shane Black, he did a good job for what he had to do, despite news going on that there were some things that were cut because the movie was already long enough. But let's get into the stuff I really do like in Predator, the Predator. First off, let me just say Shane Black's direction is actually really solid here. I really like the way he directs this film. Yes, a lot of people has complained that there's a lot of comedy, but you know what? Yeah. And I really enjoy watching how Shane Black put his direct spin on this, how he really handled this. And I felt like Shane Black, he did a pretty good job for what he had to do. I like his style. I like his style where characterized by stories in which two main characters become friends, witty dialogue, labyrinth crime plots, and that's what I really do like about that. And that's why I like his style, and I think it was very cool. Now, when it comes to the comedy, most of the comedy in this movie works. I did laugh a couple of times, especially joke with Keegan Michael-Key where it says rated E for everyone. I thought that was pretty funny. And I thought most of the jokes in this movie were pretty funny for the most part. They worked when they needed to, and I got a good laugh out of some of them. And I felt like Shane Black, he did a good job with most of the jokes here. I have to give him credit for that, because the jokes here are pretty solid, are pretty funny for the most part. When it comes to the actual Predator, this is the third best he has ever looked. Second best is the original, and first best is AVP. And the actor who plays the Predator, he was really good as the Predator. I can't think of his name, but I thought he was pretty darn awesome as the Predator. I thought he really gave Predator his own little bit of flavor, his own little bit of individuality, while still respecting how much of a badass and how much of an awesome horror icon, sci-fi horror icon that he is. And I really do think the Predator, his suit, the practical effects on him looks really good for the most part, and it is very interesting what they did with him. And he still has the cool gadgets. He still has that little thermal thing, the thermal colored like thing, where, you know, when he kills someone or something, he sees everything in the blue, orange, green, yellow. You know what I'm talking about if you've seen the Predator movies. I love that they still kept that, because that is a big part of the Predator character himself. When it comes to the technical aspects, I will say this movie is shot fairly decently. You have an $88 million budget, and I feel like the budget was used to its extent. I thought the budget was used very well with the practical effects, and I have to give them credit for doing that. And I have to say that the cinematography, the lighting in this movie is pretty good in a lot of parts. Most of the effects are pretty good here, and the music by Henry Jackman I thought was really good here. I really love the score by Henry Jackman. It doesn't match the music from the original Predator or Predators, but I will say the score is fairly badass, and it has its own flavor and individuality to it, and that's what I really do like about the score in the movie. The score is pretty entertaining. Also, I have to give a big hand and a big round of applause for the way the action scenes are shot. The action sequences are very well shot. Every single action scene, I'm sitting there, I'm enjoying every minute of this Predator action. And it's always great seeing Predator whooping that ass and taking them names and killing people. This is Predator. He will kick your ass. And I have to say, Shane Black, he respected that for the most part, and I felt like he did brought his own take into it, and it does work for the most part. When it comes to the acting, I have to praise the acting all around. This movie was great. The acting was great here. Now you have Jake Busey in here, he plays Sean Keyes, who's basically the son of Peter Keyes, who was in Predator 2 by Gary Busey, and I hated Predator 2, but I like the fact that they got Gary Busey's son in here, and I enjoyed him for the most part. I thought Brian Prince, yes, that's who plays the Predator. He was really great as the Predator. Boyd Holbrook, he was really great as Quinn McKenna. You do get some backstory on him, and his backstory for the most part I liked. Trevante Rhodes, I really liked him. Keegan Michael-Key as Coyle, he was hilarious. Alfie Allen, I thought he was really good here. I really like Thomas Jane here. It is great seeing Thomas Jane. It's never bad seeing Thomas Jane in a movie at all, and this movie's no exception. Sterling K. Brown as the villain. We'll get to him in the negatives, but I will say for the most part, he's great, and he is basically an agent. He imprisons Quinn, and he needs his help fighting with the Predators. And yeah, he's good in here, but even as the unlikable jerk. Jacob Tremblay as Rory McKenna. Now, I like this character. I really liked Jacob Tremblay as an actor. He was basically the son of Quinn and Emily, who Emily is played by Yvonne Strahovski. And he has a form of autism, and he is bullied in school, and he becomes a key player in fighting against the Predators due to his abilities to learn languages. And I thought the learning languages part with him was really good. I like the fact that he has this form of autism, and that put a smile on my face, because as someone with ADHD and autism, I don't see it my autism as a curse. I see it as a blessing. And sometimes when you have autism, there are a lot of great things can come out of it, but also some bad things can come out of it. But me, it's been a lot of great things to come out of my autism. Now, I know what you're about to ask me, Joshua. What about the actress you're not mentioning? Well, I'm going to say it right now. Olivia Munn in this movie as Casey Brackett, the science teacher. I thought she had some good jokes. She was a badass. I thought she was really great. And a lot of people will look at this movie and look at Olivia Munn and say she's not a good actress. I think Olivia Munn is a really good actress. And I think she's a gorgeous woman. I think she is very attractive. I think she's very sexy and appealing. And she was not the problem with Rod Along 2. And nor was Ice Cube. And X-Men Apocalypse, I liked her as Psylocke. I really loved her performance as Psylocke. But my problem, I still stand by with her in that movie, is that I feel like the writers could have given Psylocke more to do and give her a lot more dialogue to say. And that's one thing they do fix when it comes to this movie. She gets some dialogue to say. And I will say, for the most part, most of the dialogue is pretty good in here. And the last thing for my positives is the story. I don't mind the story here. They come to the backwoods of the U.S., of Georgia, and you have the soldiers and the biology professor having to face the predators and save the world. I really thought all that was handled in the story pretty well. And I think the story was very interesting. And I think it was pretty nice. And the production design does look good in here. I do love the creature effects here by Alligated Dynamics, who did work for the first two Alien vs. Predator films. It's not Stan Winston, but sometimes I can take what I can get. And I have to say, this was all the stuff I like. It really does keep the movie afloat, and it does get me to liking the movie. Does that mean the movie is perfect? No, because I do have some problems with this movie, and I'm going to say my problems with this movie right now. And I have to say, for a child actor like Jacob Tremblay, I don't know how old he is now. Child actors can be hit and miss if they're given the right script and the right directing. If you give them good, you get Home Alone, you get Ant-Man and Ant-Man and the Wasp with Cassie, and you do get Interstellar with Mackenzie Foy. But if they're not given the right material, you get Jake Lloyd in Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Luckily, this kid has experience in acting. He is great. He is a great actor, and I really loved his performance in the movie Room with Brie Larson, that was a really great movie. That was a tough movie to watch, but it was a great movie, and Brie Larson deserved her Academy Award nomination, and I'm so happy she won that because she deserved it, and she's going to shut all the people who's doubting Captain Marvel up. But yeah, Jacob Tremblay, awesome actor. I really do like him, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he does next in his future acting career. Now, as much as I do like some stuff in this movie, I am going to say what I did not care for in The Predator. Starting off with most of the comedy. I know it's kind of Shane Black's style, but after a while, the comedy becomes overload, and I feel like most of the comedy should have been toned down in favor of more horror and more violence and more intensity. And I'm not saying comedy is a bad thing. I'm just saying that this is not the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This is the Predator series. You can have humor, and it can work, but just don't. But when if it's overload, then yeah, that is basically a problem with the movie. Another problem that I do have to go into is that some of the CGI is very noticeable when it comes to the Ultimate Predator. I'm going to say this: the Ultimate Predator looks cool. You do still get some practical effects, but there are some shots where you can tell is CGI and it is noticeable, and I feel like the Ultimate Predator should just been practical makeup as well, just like the original Predator. And I feel like you have a budget of $88 million, you could have at least made some of that CGI a little bit better before the final cut. Because some of it is good, some of it is, I'm like, really, you could have done a hell of a lot better like that. But yeah, I feel like this movie should have went through at least one more rewrite, because I feel like there could have been more development with the rest of the characters. Now, I do care about Boyd Holbrook's character. I did care about Olivia Munn's character. But I felt like everyone else, with the exception of those two, I feel like you could have had more development for those characters. And I felt like they should have had more development so you could care about them. And if you would have done that, I think that would have been it would have been just fine. But I just kind of feel like you could have done better with the character development, and I feel like some of that should have been better. Now, when it comes to the runtime, this movie is an hour and 48 minutes. No, an hour and 47 minutes. And I know that they had, in August, they did cast Edward James Olmos as Sanchez, who is a military general. And they cut him out because they wanted to reduce the film's long running time. I felt like you should have kept him in. You should have kept him in. I kind of feel, because I would like to see the scenes with his character. You should have just kept him in. It wasn't. The movie probably still run at the same pace. I don't know, but and you can tell this movie could have been a little bit longer. And I did look up that the third act of this movie was reshot due to poor test screens and that weren't so good, that weren't so well received. And the third act, they basically, it adds in links to the other films, and while I think that was fine, but I feel like that some of it should have the movie should have just been longer, honestly. I'm not saying an hour and 48 minutes is not enough. It gets you straight in, gets you straight out, but you could have kept Edward James almost in, and I'm kind of curious to see what else they took out of the film. But I'm pretty sure Edward James almost staying was the only thing they took out. I don't know. I'm not the writer or director, or I'm not the editor. I'm just the guy talking. But yeah, the ending is, I'm not gonna say I hate the ending, but I just don't know how I feel about the ending. It's kind of hit and miss. I do like the ending. I do like a little bit of the ending, but I kind of feel like the ending was just like, yeah, you're basically trying to set up for another film. And the producer of the Predator franchise, he has said that they hope to have a trilogy, but the mixed reviews that this movie's getting, I don't know how that's gonna work, but whatever happens, we'll see what happens. And the last problem I do have is most of this movie's dialogue could, like I said, this is where I literally have to say the movie should have gotten another rewrite before they went to filming, because most of the dialogue and most of the humor doesn't. There are some jokes that doesn't fit. There is some dialogue I felt like could have been a lot better, but I'm going to say that the actors who are saying most of the bad dialogue, they do fine with what they had to do. But I feel like the dialogue should have just been a lot better. A lot better. And the character development, you should have got a lot more. So, those are mainly my gripes with this movie. But overall, my overall feelings on The Predator is, I don't think this movie is that bad. I don't think this movie is a terrible film. I don't think this is an awful film. I just feel like that the problems, they are there, and I feel like those problems could have been fixed. If you would fix those problems, I think this easily would have been a 10 out of 10 for me. This would have been a 9.3 out of 10 for me. And I felt like those problems could have been fixed. I felt like the script could have went through a little more rewrite. I felt the dialogue, the character development could have been a lot more character development to the characters. I feel like the movie could have been a little bit more longer and put Edward James almost back in. I feel like most of the comedy should have been removed. I feel like the CGI should just, the Ultimate Predator should not have been completely CGI. I don't know, and I felt like the ending could have been a lot better. So who knows? They're probably going to release an alternate ending on the Blu-ray, because I do plan on putting this in the Predator collection along with the trilogy Blu-ray set, even though Predator 2 isn't there. But at least you have Predator and Predators, and I will put AVP and AVPR in that Predator collection as well. But at the end of the day, I can simply sit here and say that this is one of the more underrated movies of the year. This movie's just getting hated on without any valid points. If your only valid points is because it's too much humor, then that's not really valid. You have to really watch the movie and look for the problems that are there. Besides, it's too much comedy. That's probably Shane Black's style. He likes to have humor. Have you seen The Nice Guys? Have you seen Kiss Kiss Bang Bang Bang, people? If not, then you need to go watch those movies and then get back to me. Now, I know there's going to be some fans who's going to say, you're being too kind on this movie. I don't know what you see in this movie. This movie sucks. You don't know what you're talking about. This is my channel. This is my review. This is my opinion on The Predator. And if you don't like the movie, you don't have to get mad at me in the comments, okay? Let's just be positive and there won't be a problem. That's all I ask. If you want to have a little bit of an argument or a disagreement, go ahead, but don't be negative, don't curse. So, yeah. But overall, I enjoy The Predator for what it is. It's a fun, entertaining, serviceable film. It's not the best film in the Predator series, but it is definitely not the worst. The worst Predator movie is still Predator 2 because of how stupid, how lame, how awful that sequel is. But at least there is some fun to be had. I do like the acting. I do like the direction. I do like most of the comedy. I like the technical stuff. I like some of the good writing. I like the Predator. I like the Ultimate Predator. I like the action scenes. And I like the story. I just felt like those problems could have been fixed. But at the end of the day, The Predator is a fun time. I would say watch the movie in theaters if you're a Predator fan or not a Predator fan. But I will also say, if you are one of those people who are not excited for this movie, I would say wait for Netflix and then watch it on Netflix and then see if you like it, you go ahead and buy the Blu-ray. But I know this movie's not going to be for everyone, but as a Predator fan, as a Predator fan who hasn't read any of the comic books that they came out with, or any of the books, I enjoyed The Predator for what it is. And The Predator was fun, and I am going to be fair, I'm going to be nice, and I'm going to be generous, because I'm feeling generous, and I'm going to give this movie a highly recommended from my rating system. Easily, that would be a 7.3 out of 10, which is a B+ for me. It's a fun movie, has some problems, but still enjoyable. Now, I will show you a couple of Stardust reactions to The Predator. And these Stardust reactions are pretty mixed at best. The Predator lived up to my expectations, and I'm in the minority, but I think this is a pretty underrated movie. This is easily probably my fourth or third favorite in the series. While I do have some problems, I will say that I do like what Shane Black did. I do like the comedy. I like the cast, including Olivia Munn. And The Predator looks awesome.
So I just got back from watching The Predator, and I gotta say, I don't care what anybody says about it, how you guys talk about how it's a hot mess or something, or how it's just horrifically made. I don't get it. I really don't. This is Shane Black having absolute fun with his premise. He's like a 13-year-old boy just let loose with $88 million. And as a Predator movie, it finally tests the mold. It might take itself less seriously, but thank God. I'm tired of people defending Predator sequels. They weren't as good. This is fun.
What's the matter? Was you too many pencils to make a good Predator movie? Terrible impression, by the way, awesome lens flare. This movie just is over the top and dumb, and it's almost like a slapstick comedy rather than that tough guy humor that the original movie was. Nothing that made that first movie charismatic and great transpired into this movie. It's just incomprehensible, and it's honestly terribly directed. Shane Black, I don't know what happened.
I just got out of seeing The Predator, and I don't know if it's all of the reviews just saying how bad it was and my friends hating on it, but I'm not going to lie, I kind of enjoyed it. I love the cast, and it's very funny in a Shane Black kind of way. He definitely puts that spin on it. It introduces some new things. Some of them worked, some of them didn't, but I definitely don't think it deserves all the hate it is getting. I had a fun time.
So I just got back from watching The Predator, and while I think I know what they were trying to achieve with the movie, I was like, okay, I think it's supposed to be funny. I think, things are happening. There's gore and violence and lots of blood and guts and whatnot. But overall, I think it was just a hot mess. Why? What? Who? I don't even know. Why bother?
So I gotta say this, the first half of The Predator is pretty good. I had a good time. I was having a good time watching The Predator kill people. And then as soon as the second Predator comes along, that, in the trailer is a really hybrid looking one, comes along, the movie just stumbles. It falls, it loses its place. It becomes this stupid story that it's dumb. It's not even fun. And the ending is so anticlimactic. And then the very, very end, really? What?
Just saw The Predator, and it's so bad and so stupid it's actually funny. I actually burst out laughing throughout the film. If you go into the movie and you don't take it too seriously, I think you'll end up enjoying it. But it's not a serious movie. It's really stupid, really silly, and editing is really bad.
All right, we just got out of the Predator movie.
It was bullshit.
It wasn't. It was not bullshit. It was more goofy than I thought it would be, and really, really gory, which was kind of fun. This is my first Predator movie I've ever seen. I've not seen the other ones. I was just going off this one. It was not really a good film by any stretch, but it was fun. It just got a little lazy at the end there.
Yeah, the gore is over the top and ridiculous, but for me, since I've seen the others, this is the best sequel.
There you go.
So I am here with the Predator and adorable Rachel.
Hello! Hello!
The Predator. It was not great per se.
Okay.
It was probably for me, it's the best Predator sequel we've gotten. This is the first Predator movie she's seen. She's not seen the original, which you should.
No, I know I should. It was fun.
Yeah, some of the jokes worked. Some of them felt really flat. There's some painfully bad dialogue, but they do some new stuff with the Predator, so it's fine.
Okay.
Alright, guys, so that was my non-spoiler review of The Predator. I know I'm being overly positive about this movie, but I don't get most of the criticisms for this movie. I do agree with most of the problems, but I at least have fun with this movie a lot more than Predator 2, a lot more than any of the 9 movies that I hated this year. So, let me know in the comments below, what do you think of the Predator, Shane Black's The Predator? Do you like this movie? Do you hate it? Are you in between? Do you think it's a guilty pleasure? Do you think Shane Black did a good job? Did he not? What is your favorite Predator movie? What's your least favorite Predator movie? And I will see you guys in more videos. Be on the lookout for my Predator ranking, my ranking of the Conjuring universe, my Season 1 review of Marvel's Cloak and Dagger, my rants on Vampire Academy, my reviews for Hellboy 1 and 2, also my top 10 favorite A24 films and Jessica Chastain films, which will be in audio only form, and I will also do a live stream on the best and worst movies of summer 2018 for me, where I rank them from the best, surprises, guilty pleasures, okay movies, letdown, disappointments, and worst. But my summer movie season rankings it always starts in March, and it has started off in March for me since 2016. So if I do put movies from March and April on my summer movie season ranking and you do see them, try not to get upset. This is just how my summer movie season rolls. So there you go. Be sure to follow me on my social media links: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Stardust, Movie Geek 1998. Also, I have to give some shout outs before I leave in the video. I'm going to give shout outs to Colin, who has a new channel called Classic Fanboy. Give a shout out to Ashley and George from Talking Movies with us. And I'm going to give a shout out to 22 Tiger Dude. So I would like to give those 3 shout outs. Be sure to go support the Land of the Nerd channel. There will be more videos posted on there as well. Also, I would like to give a huge thank you to all the people who supports my Future Filmmaker 39480 official group, as well as my official Facebook fan page, where I post updates, top 10s, and all in my video, just basically my stuff to let you know what's up. So this is Future Filmmaker 39480 here, and you guys keep it cool.